I'm Ash, I'm a producer and songwriter. I've been in studios for about 5 or 6 years, and I'm part of Laconic.
I'm Dan Gowdy, I'm a songwriter and producer and half of production team Laconic, based in the UK. I've been in and out of studios for years now, working at a lot of the top London studios, particularly Moloko Studios and recently Snap Studios.
We're a pop production and songwriting team. Got lots going on with some big names and some upcoming names. Some things we can't tell you about, some things we can. We're working with a bunch of people from Revoice and the X Factor.
Recently, most of our time as Laconic has been taken up doing stuff with the band Cover Drive, who are a really amazing band from Barbados. Had some great success over here in the UK last year, including a #1, which is very nice. So we've done sort of 11 songs with them. That's going really well. Also working with a few other artists such as Troy Hudson, used to be in RD. She's now doing solo stuff. Jessica Gumbar used to be in Parade, now also doing solo stuff.
We normally compose in Logic and track in Pro Tools, mix in Logic as well. We use the same plugins between both DAWs.
Well, for us, vocals, vocal sound, vocal performance is paramount. It's, you know, probably the most important thing, on a par with the kind of overall vibe of a production. And we definitely strive for perfection. And by perfection, we don't mean every note in tune, everything perfectly in time. It's about getting the right performance that suits the emotion for the piece. And so anything that we can use that enables that is a really good thing for us.
Vocals are possibly the most important thing to a pop song. And the sound of the vocals, how tight they are, how pristine they are, how perfect, the delivery. It is such an important thing, because if you don't get that just right, it doesn't sound like a pop song. It might sound like a rock song, it might sound like an indie song. Pop has a very specific sound, and we're very, very meticulous about how our music sounds. And I'd go as far to say is, if you hear a Laconic song, you'll know it's a Laconic song, because we have a very specific way about doing vocals. And I think Revoice helps us reach that. It's very important to say that the performance has to be just right. The sound has to be just right, the tuning has to be just right. And we use a combination of things, and one of the key things we now use, and it's become integral to our workflow, is Revoice Pro. Our vocal chain is normally U87 into 1176, and then we'll add on a couple of layers of compression, obviously, and EQ, etc., vocals, delay, reverb, sorry, and Revoice Pro, and we're absolutely loving it.
Well, the good thing about Revoice Pro for the way that we work is that it's not about getting this kind of completely pristine vocal that, you know, you can't tell if any note's out of tune or whatever. It's about getting the best performance in the first place, and then getting the rest of the vocals to enhance that. So, you know, time aligning and pitch aligning to that lead vocal, so that the actual performance and emotion in that lead vocal is preserved rather than flattened out completely and, you know, just all the emotion taken away from it. So I'd say that's the sort of main way that we find Revoice is just head and shoulders above any other tool that's available.
Revoice Pro is very, very different from Auto-Tune. Now, Auto-Tune is fundamentally a tuning piece of software. Revoice Pro does so much more. You can tune in it, of course, but the key things for us are you can time and pitch align vocals to the nth degree. It's unbelievable. It saves us so much time. And I can't say that enough. We end up, you can imagine what our pop tracks end up with, you know, 50+ tracks of vocals, layers and layers and layers. And we need it to sound perfect.
Inevitably, as with any sort of new thing, it always takes a few minutes to figure it out, but it links up with Pro Tools seamlessly. I mean, it actually does what it says it's supposed to do, which is quite a rare thing in a lot of cases. For me, when I first opened it up, there's so much control that you can have within the algorithms. But the presets are there to sort of guide you and, you know, say this is an idea of what you might do in this situation. I found it very quick to get to grips with it just by sort of being guided by the presets, and it made it quite an easy thing to, you know, get to know.
Auto-Tune, a lot of people will use it kind of as an excuse to get away with a bad vocal performance, or maybe if they're in a rush they can use it or something like that. We don't work with bad vocalists. The vocalists we work with are top of their game, and they always deliver a good performance. What we end up with on tape is a brilliant vocal before it's even hit Revoice. What Revoice allows us to do, though, is give it that slight lift. It might not even be a lift that your average listener can tell what it's done, but we can, and it makes a big difference.
Well, I'd absolutely recommend that people give it a go. I mean, it's definitely changed the way that we work in both speeding up the process and getting fundamentally a better result. And as far as I've heard it, it works very well on a lot of things other than vocals. And I'm certainly looking forward to trying it more in other areas. But yeah, I'd certainly recommend it.
It's the answer. It's amazing. The thinking behind it is amazing. It's one of the best plugins we've used.